My sister lied about her son's surgery to keep me from going on my $8,000 vacation. They called the police. When they found him alone for 3 days and hungry on cereal, my sister went to Vegas to party for 3 days and left my baby nephew home, alone. She then pretended that he had an emergency medical situation to get me to cancel my honeymoon so I could rush home and watch him when I filed charges. She got a lawyer. My sister told my brother to make me look like a crazy kidnapper in court, so I ruined her life in every way possible. As a child, Sierra always said she would be the cool mom. She would always say her kids would be her best friends. She wasn't stressed out like some parents are, so I thought she'd be crazy about Eli when she was born. And for a while she was. I always got him new storybooks, took a lot of pictures of him, and spent hours learning the names of dinosaurs. Sierra gave him the worst birthday present ever on his 4th birthday. She then left him. I still remember her. She called me in tears and said she just wanted to drop him off at the fire station and let life take its course. I asked her if she wanted me to watch more often instead of yelling at her or calling her a bad person. Sierra was a single mom who had just gotten over a depressive episode after giving birth, so I thought that if I just it helped more than I thought it would, and for a while it did, but one weekend a month, then once a week, and then almost every evening was like the son I never had. Fast forward to last month. Sierra asked me if I could keep an eye on Eli while she went to Las Vegas for her bachelorette party. But here's the catch. Caleb, my husband of 2 years, had planned for our honeymoon to happen during that time. We had been married for 2 years and had saved every penny we had. She gave me 4 months' notice, so I said no. To my surprise, she didn't even look mad. She laughed it off as if she knew she was wrong and said she'd find someone else. Sierra, I should have known, would never agree that she was wrong so quickly. I was sound asleep at 3 a.m. when I saw Sierra's name. My phone shook so hard it almost fell off the table. I answered right away. She was crying so hard she couldn't make sentences. She told me I needed toy, had to go right away because her son Eli had been hurt. That was all I needed to hear to start packing my things. Sierra went on. Eli was hit by a drunk driver, and he had to be airlifted to the hospital for open brain surgery. Sierra needed me at the children's hospital, and everything else happened quickly. We cried as we packed and asked airlines for emergency seats while watching. $8,000 in flights where non-refundable reservations go missing when I try to get in touch with them, Sierra, but she blocked me and didn't text, call, or email me. I called the children's hospital as soon as Caleb and I got to JFK Airport to see if Eli had been admitted. The nurse told me she wasn't seeing any kids with that name of trauma. Adrenaline rushed through my body, and we called 6. We did what any hospital would do because Sierra's phone kept going to voicemail. What a responsible adult would do in that situation. We broke into her house by putting the extra key under her mat. The door was already open, and I thought Sierra would be standing over Eli in bed when I walked in. But she wasn't there. We found him sitting on the couch with empty breakfast bowls all around him, playing on his tablet. He was not hurt at all. He wrapped his arms around my waist and started cheering, "Yay." As soon as he saw us, I took him off of me and asked him nicely where his mom was. She had left 3 days before. She told me she couldn't pay for a babysitter, but that you would be back soon from vacation to watch the kids. Me. So you didn't get hurt or into any accidents? Caleb asked as he tried to wrap up putting everything in his head. Number asked, "Why would I be hurt? I can take care of myself," Eli replied happily. When my blood ran cold, I called Sierra on her landline, and this time the song "Hey What's Up" by California Girls was the first thing I heard when I picked up the phone. She asked what the f's going on, Sierra. She asked, stumbling her words. "What do you mean?" she asked as if she were stupid. "Would work in that case since you told me Eli was in surgery." I was then cut off by Sierra's voice. I laughed like a witch because I knew that if I lied, you wouldn't come back. You're going all out on your vacation. It must be nice to have extra money while you're a single mom. Behind me, Eli asked in a low voice if he could move in with us. He said no because his mom didn't want him to. Sierra heard him on the phone and changed her tone right away, showing that she didn't want him anymore. Hostile and mean. She blamed me for turning her son against her and said that was always my plan. When I finally learned Sierra wasn't some misunderstood single mom, she was a drunk, careless, and ungrateful jerk, and I was ready to punish her. I hung up on her in the middle of her rant because my hands were shaking. I was so sick I could hardly hold the phone. Caleb was already in the kitchen making Eli a good meal. He was 4 years old and lived on rice for 3 days straight. I sat down next to Eli and tried to be cool. When I asked him if he was scared, he said, "Mommy told me." She did it before when I was busy. He told her I felt sick. It wasn't the first time I had heard that. I grabbed my phone and called child services right away. The woman who answered sounded tired, like she'd heard a lot that before. She wrote down everything and said someone would be there tomorrow. Tomorrow wasn't good enough. For me, I told her that a 4-year-old had been left alone for 3 days. She said that since I get food and a place to stay, the case had to go through the right processes. But they promised they'd put it at the top of their list. Caleb finished making mac and cheese and brought it over to Eli to eat. He hadn't eaten real food in days. In between bites, he told us he wasn't brave enough to go outside and that he was out AF milk on day 2. How he tried to call me but didn't know my number by heart. Everything about it made me mad. After dinner, after I bathed him and put him in our guest room, he grabbed my hand and fell asleep. My friend Caleb and I talked about what to do all night. We couldn't just leave him here until Sierra got back. Plus, it was against the law for us to take him. We were stuck with a party the next morning. A worker named Ramona showed up. She looked about 50, wore a wrinkly jacket, and had a clipboard with her. She talked to Eli. When she asked him about his time alone, he told her everything. He had told us she did. She showed me notes and pictures of the messy fridge and notes. Then she pulled me away and told me they would open a case, but warned me, it takes time for these things to happen. I told Sierra that she would have a chance to explain herself because the system wanted to keep families together. She just shrugged and told her that's how it works. 2 days later passed. Eli stayed with us, and we got into a pattern of eating the same things every day for breakfast, lunch, and cartoons, at the park in the afternoon, taking a nap, having dinner, taking a bath, and going to bed. It all seemed normal, great with him, reading him stories and showing him card games. On the 3rd day, Sierra came to our door and looked like hell. Her hair was oily, her makeup was smeared, and she smelled like cigarettes and booze. Demanded Eli's return right away. I stood in the doorway and told her no, pushed past me, but Caleb stepped behind me. Sierra yelled that we were violating her rights as a mother. Neighbors came out to watch and saw her take her son. I stayed cool and told her to leave or I'd call the police. She laughed and said, "Go ahead." She then told him that she had already called them. After 10 minutes, a police car pulled up and 2 officers got out. They looked bored. Sierra ran up to them and cried saying, "We'd palace put us apart to get to both sides." And I told them what happened, everything, leaving lying about the accident. And being alone for 3 days, I showed them the call logs from my phone to hospitals. They agreed and took notes. Then they went inside to talk to Eli. He was drawing at the kitchen table when they asked him if he wanted to go home with them. He told Mommy, "I want to stay with Aunt Claire and Uncle Caleb." He shook his head hard and said, "Mommy left me alone." Was scared. The police looked at each other, and then they went outside and told Sierra she had to leave because this was a civil issue and not a criminal one. He told her to work it out with child services. I totally lost it and began yelling that I had convinced him that I had always been jealous of her because I couldn't have her. I was taking her kids. So the police told her to calm down, but didn't they put her in the back of the police car to cool off in the end? Before they drove off, one officer stopped me and said, "I was told to write down everything, take pictures, say